Welcome to the fourth edition of the Danny Heep Show. I'm your host, Shane Melling, joined as usual by UIW head baseball coach Danny Heep. Coach, welcome back.
All right, four. So you think we'd
Four.
make it
We
four?
made it to four. I
Four?
wasn't sure.
Pretty soon we're going to catch up with our wins. So at that point,
we need to get some more wins this weekend. We need to get some more wins this weekend. You guys are traveling to Houston Baptist this weekend. They've been a program that's been pretty good in the past. Last year they won the conference tournament. What's the basic scouting report on the Huskies this year?
Well, I mean they've got some new people, but they got hot during the tournament. They were
kind of four straight complete games.
Exactly. I mean they were around 500, maybe right around a little above 500, and then got really good pitching performances in the conference tournament. Actually had a couple of shutouts, and that kind of carried them into getting a chance of getting a regional bid. At this point where we're at, I mean, we look at other teams, we scout them. I mean, we get scouting reports, and we try to put together a game plan. But it's more about how we're playing than other teams are playing, and so we're working hard and trying to get our hitters to get more consistent. We're trying to get more consistency out of the bottom half of our pitching staff. It seems to get a little better. Yeah. It seems that we're making a little bit of progress, but we've got to start competing a little better in some of these games, and we've got to start competing in conference a little bit more. I mean, I know we have a lot of seniors. We got some seniors on this team, and we're going to be younger next year. Mm-hmm. But like I said, this is a building block type thing. We're not. It's difficult to just walk into Division I and all of a sudden try to compete for a championship after a couple years. It's just not that simple.
It had to be a little encouraging for you on Tuesday night getting the win over Rio Grande Valley. You guys, you scored all your runs. Each time was with 2 outs. You had a big rally in the 7th inning where, 2 outs, nobody on, and you guys scored 3 runs to take the lead. Had a couple, clutch hits from your guys, and it seemed like it was just a really nice win to get. You had pretty solid pitching throughout. How do you take that and build on that, moving forward?
Well, that's what we need. I mean, we got to get a middle of our lineup trying to drive in some runs, and that's kind of been our problem. We had a little bit before that is we get people in, we hitting on a lot of double plays, and so there's not much you can do about that. You can't guide the ball into holes, and so. It's kind of that we're kind of snake bit in that sense. But we've got to do a better job in cutting our strikeouts. We got to, our walk to strikeout ratio is not very good. We've got to do a better job competing in the strike zone, taking the ball the other way. I think teams are kind of patterning us, and we see it up and down the lineup because the scouting reports are getting a little bit more detailed with more teams, more games we play. And we've got to make adjustments. We've got to make adjustments as hitters. We've got to make adjustments on the defensive side. We've got to make adjustments on the pitching side. I want us to start turning it around, playing a little bit more consistent. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I wish it would.
Yeah.
But, some exactly. So some of this is, we've got to make some adjustments mechanically, the approach on the hitting side, and some mechanics on the pitching side.
You kind of went on the pitching side. You kind of used just about everybody. John Schul got in to close it out, and last year he closed out a couple games for us, and then he'll be starting game 2 of the series against Houston Baptist. Lance Moskowitz we've talked about him before. You've been kind of stretching him out, and other than, I think he's only really had one bad outing. Other than that, he's been very good for you guys. Is it just kind of you'll be patchworking things through, using guys as much as you can that are doing well?
I don't like patchworking. We need to get some innings out of our starters, and that's something that we've struggled about a little bit. I mean, we've got to start getting 6 or 7 innings out of our starting pitching, so we don't have to patch it together. But we've done what we have to do. We can't fall behind too much, so we've kind of had an early hook on some of these guys because we can't afford to fall down by 4 or 5 runs because we've struggled scoring runs. So, we're kind of playing every inning and every game like it's the 9th inning, and so it's not the best scenario, but it's not. What we're going to have to do is we're going to have to start getting some innings out of some guys. We're going to have to start hitting with some guys. We're more consistent on the hitting side. We're going to start scoring earlier to put some take some pressure off our pitching staff. It's kind of like a total thing we need to work on. But like I said, we're moving forward on what's going to happen in the future, and that's what we want to do. We're not eligible for the playoffs.
Right.
No matter what we were. If we were 56-0, we're not going anywhere. But this is a transition, and I think patience is something that's hard to do. But I think when you go from a small Division II university and then jump into the big leagues with Division I overnight, it's just not that simple to just turn things around. We're playing established schools who still are, in some of their cases, aren't winning to this point with a lot more resources that we have. So, I mean, we're working at it. We know what we need to do. We know what needs to be done. But, it's sometimes I know when walking around campus, they're like going, oh, you're not winning. And unless you understand baseball, how it works, how the scholarships work, how the private school fits into that scenario, you just got to understand. You got to give us some time, and we'll get things fixed.
Who are some of the young guys that have maybe been able to take some of these opportunities and are showing you something that for the future they can be players that you'll be able to build on and rely upon?
Well, I mean, we've Bernie Martinez has done a good job. We all of them have pretty good arms. Allen has been consistent. So I mean, we've got some guys that, and Moskowitz have done, but he's a junior. I mean, you can't. I look at them. We obviously there might have to be some adjustments, but you can't say, okay, you got 3 starts and this is what you're going to be for 4 years. We have to look at guys that have good arms. Of course, they just have to learn to pitch on this level. And some of that is command and having a second and third pitch that they can throw. That's where we've gotten in trouble a little bit, that these guys, just don't make adjustments with their breaking ball, or they're not throwing their non-fastballs in the strike zone, and they get behind the count. And nobody's, they could get away with that in high school because they threw hard enough to throw it by people, but they're not throwing it by Division I hitters. And so that's the learning experience that they have to get, and that comes with maturity, that comes with working out, that comes with making adjustments. On the offensive side, Ryan has done a good job defensively for us. He's struggled in the offensive side lately. He's probably the only really freshman, I guess, position player that's kind of like a scholarship guy. We have some guys that are, like Kuntz in center field. We weren't planning on playing him much this year, but now with the injuries, he's playing a little bit. But we've got to get guys. I mean, I look at guys like Brance Cale's been pretty consistent on here. Tanner Wall's been consistent. Hoffman has kind of had up and down a little bit. We need to get him a little bit more consistent hitting with runners in scoring position. Dibblebis isn't hitting as well as he did last year. Corey Durand isn't hitting as well as we thought he would. And those are projected middle of the lineup guys. And so you do that, and then you throw in a couple of your leadoff, your 1-2 hitters are hurt, then all of a sudden you're slotting people someplace where you're maybe not ready for or didn't expect them to come in and lead our team in RBIs.
It had to be nice to see Eddie Gonzalez got a hit or two the other night. He's a guy that you look at him at the plate, looks like should be hitting much better than he actually is right now. I know a small sample size sometimes, but maybe he'll start coming out of that little slump he's in.
Exactly. He's got to make adjustments, and he's one of the guys that he's a young hitter, and you go play high school, you're going to go get 2 or 3 pitches in an account and an at bat to hit, and he's finding out that these guys are throwing him into his weaknesses. And he's not making some adjustments. He's got to do a better job taking the ball the other way, which is where he got all his hits yesterday. He's been pulling the ball too much, and he's been getting in trouble because they're throwing him middle out. So but he did a great job taking the ball the other way, taking that fastball outside, and then he'll start getting some inside pitches to hit. You have to make the pitcher adjust. These pitchers are not going to make any adjustments on their how they approach us and how they pitch us until we take that pitch away and we force them to make different areas to throw it.
Well, Coach, this year you guys 6-4 at home, which not too bad, but on the road we're still looking for that first win away from Sullivan Field. Is it just kind of, what do you think it's been for the guys? I know you play a lot of strong opponents on the road, and this week Houston Baptist 3 times, and we go to Rio Grande Valley, which is a team you think we should be able to compete and hopefully get a win on the road.
Right.
What's, other than the teams being very good, what are some of the struggles we've had? Just being away from home. Is it just not being used to the surroundings, or?
I don't know. I mean, when you're playing Oklahoma State, and you're playing Texas State, and you're playing Notre Dame. We have to be realistic. We have moved a long way with this program since I've been here, from NAI to Division II in the Heartland, to Division II in the Lone Star, to Division I. Now we have to understand, and you gotta kind of know the nuts and bolts of how this place works. We're in Division II when we first started, we were in with all the private schools, the St. Mary's, the St. Ed's, the Concordias. That's kind of where we were, and it kind of was fit because that's what our facilities were lined up for. That's kind of the size of the school, and then all of a sudden, we go to the Lone Star, which then we have to deal with more state schools. Now, the cost of state schools compared to private schools are just night and day. Yeah. And so your scholarships won't go as far, and it's a little different on the recruiting side. It's a little more difficult. And then going from the Lone Star playing state schools to going against state schools in Division I. I mean, that's like moving from Class A ball to the major leagues in a matter of 3 or 4 years. We're not signing the athlete that's going to go compete with Oklahoma State right now, or we're not, we'll get there eventually. But right now, people don't look at us as being a Division I opponent. They look at us as being, in some sort of way station here. We don't count one way, but we're Division I. We play a Division I opponent. Right. Nobody has taken a private non-Division I team from Division II to just turn it around overnight and win on the Division I level. Unless you're planning on throwing in several millions of dollars into facilities and start catching up. TCU didn't do it that way. It took TCU over 30 years to do it, to get where they're at right now. Baylor wasn't like this. Yeah. And so, it's something that you have to evolve with. I understand they see stuff on TV, but unless you make trips to other schools and see what they've got compared to what we have, you've got to understand how this works. And we know where the players are. It's not a secret who the players are. The problem is, can you sign them? And we're doing the best job we can. We're getting the best player we can possibly get right now. Some of these guys are not the no-brainers that are on the Baseball USA Top 500. I mean, these guys are good arms. They're good players. They're just somebody that's going to take time and develop. We've said from the very start we were trying to set up 2 or 3 years from now. This senior class came in when we weren't eligible for the playoffs. Now we're finding it's getting a little easier, a little better.
I was going to wonder how much has it gotten easier each progressive year?
It's good. Well, this is our first freshman class. We're bringing in 13 freshmen, and their sophomore year they will be eligible for the playoffs. This past freshman class, this basically group, they will be eligible their junior year. Now we don't have a junior college guy on our roster right now that will be eligible for the playoffs. So it'll be a little easier for us to start signing some junior college guys because, it's difficult to sign a junior college guy that's going to come here and not be eligible for the playoffs. I mean, we're offering an opportunity for them to play and play against Division I competition. But, when you start asking questions about, well, do we make the playoffs? No. Yeah. And sometimes it makes a difference, and a lot of times it makes a difference, and sometimes it doesn't. But, we will get past that. We're trying to look to improve this facility. Everybody in our conference are making upgrades. I've been working with trying to get a group of people together, and things seem to look good, and then things seem to fall apart. But that's what fundraising is. So we're trying to do the best we can to try to start. We don't have our full-time locker rooms.
Right.
So I mean, when you look at the big picture about, TCU just put in a $7 million locker room. So I'm just saying, we've got a long way to go,
Yeah.
and it's not going to happen overnight. I think I've got a good staff here. I think we work hard. We're out all the time during the summer recruiting, and we know that we have to develop these guys, but we're going to have to make adjustments as we go and fit in some players that might not turn into Division I players. That's just part of the tough part of what we do.
Well, Coach, I think we're about out of time, but good luck this weekend at Houston Baptist. This will be your third conference series of the season, I
Yep.
think, if I
Yep.
remember right. And we'll see you again next week.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.